Ngayon, so since we are talking about liabilities, okay, kailangan natin maintindihan na minsan sa isang payable, okay, or particularly a long-term liability, may mga portion dyan na current, ay may mga portion dyan na non-current. Okay, so as a general rule, currently maturing long-term liabilities are presented as current liability. Eh sir, bakit gano'n? Long-term ngayon nakalagay pero current. Kasi 'di ba usually alam naman natin kapag long-term it is non-current. But here, yung mga currently maturing long-term liabilities, their classification is not non-current anymore. We could classify that as current liabilities na. Bakit? Possible, magmamature na sila for less than a year or even a year. So, since pumasok na siya sa criteria natin ng current liabilities, okay, here, maka-classify na natin siya as current liability. So, let's say, umutang tayo ng last 2020, last 2018, may utang tayo. Tapos ngayon, 2021, may last na year na lang natin babayaran for 2022. So, kung titingnan natin, we are reporting our financial statement in the period of 2021. Last na hulog natin ng 2022. So, yung 1 year na yon, mababayaran natin siya for less than a year na lang or even a year. Considered na siya as current liability. Even though, that is long-term before. Okay? So, yung portion na mababayaran na for a year or less than a year, current na siya. Okay? So, ano yung mga exception? So, sir, ano yung mga exception wherein na babayaran pala siya for less than a year pero hindi natin siya pwede classify as current. Okay? So, number one, if the refinancing agreement is fully completed on or before the balance sheet date, classify natin niya as non-current liability. Under PS 37 kasi guys, possible yung mga long-term liabilities natin magkaroon ng refinancing yan. Ibig sabihin, let's say, si company, they are not able to settle that for now. Okay, so magkakaroon ng refinancing. So ngayon, kapag yung refinancing agreement nangyari or napagkasunduan on or before the balance sheet date, okay, considered yun as non-current. Okay, kasi may extend pa eh. Nagkaroon sila ng agreement na baka possible pwede pa natin extend. Okay? Before maggawa ng financial statement, nagkaroon ng usapan si company at si banko. So, yung refinancing agreement na yun, basta nangyari on or before, non-current pa. Kasi possible ma-extend pa for more than a year. So, non-current liability na yun. Kahit pa next year maturity based on legal form, legal contract. So, dito, kapag nagkaroon ng refinancing agreement, legally, between the bank and the company, non-current na yon. Okay? Yung long-term liabilities na yon. Then, kapag yung refinancing agreement after the balance sheet date naman, but before ma-authorize yung financial statement, ilalagay natin or classify natin yung long-term liabilities na yon na currently maturing as non-current if the entity expects and has the discretion to refinance it on a long-term basis under an existing loan facility. Meaning, ibig sabihin lang sa number 2, ganito, nagkaroon ulit ng refinancing agreement. But ngayon, yung nangyari yung refinancing, after naman natin magawa yung financial statement for December 31. But before pa siya ma-authorize, meaning, hindi pa yan napapasa sa board of directors sa mga kailangan pumirma. Ngayon, kapag yung refinancing nangyari doon, sa period na yon, titignan natin kung meron bang discretion si company or parang meron ba silang option na bayaran for more than a year yung loan pa. So, let's say, pwede pa nilang bayaran, extend pa yung maturity ng inutang nila for 2024. Let's say, additional 2 years pa. So, in that case, since there is evidence that they could extend the payment, okay, through the financing, hindi natin siya ilalagay as current. Kasi pwede pa nilang extend eh. But, if they don't have the discretion, they don't have the decision to extend the maturity of the long-term liability on that period, okay, kaklasify na natin as current kasi demand payable na siya. It requires demand payment kasi wala silang option to extend eh. But if they have option to extend through refinancing agreement on or before the financial statement reporting period, even after the reporting period, but before the authorization, pwede natin siya i-classify as non-current. Okay? But general rule guys if the long-term liability is currently maturing this year, okay, meaning currently pwedeng babayaran for a year, current liabilities na yan. It is not presented anymore as long-term liability or non-current asset. Medyo, ano siya, for the first year student, medyo kailangan pa maintindihan kapag nasa PS37 tayo, but it's okay na malaman nyo na siya ngayon. Okay, so, under PS37 then, but based on PS1, as stated by PS1, there could be possible breach of loan agreement. Okay? So, sir, ano yung breach of loan agreement? So, ito naman, nangutang si company, nangutang particular client, then, nagkaroon ng breach. Okay? So, mas possible, hindi sila sumunod sa contract, may nangyaring something. Okay? Na invalidate yung contract. So, or yung loan agreement. In that case, a liability that is payable on demand is a current liability. So, meaning, since may hindi nasunod sa contract, kailangan bayaran na yan ni client. Since kailangan na niya bayaran yan, kailangan na ng demand payment, it is considered as current liability. Kailangan na agad bayaran eh. So, we assume that and we expect that it could be payable or it needs to be settled for a year or less than a year. So, in that case, ang presentation niya ay current liability. Okay? So, the next one, exceptions, okay naman, kapag may breach of loan agreement, hindi natin na i-classify as current liability if, okay, if the lender provides the entity on or before the balance sheet date a grace period ending at least 12 months after the balance sheet date to rectify a breach of loan covenant. So, ganito ang case na yan. So, let's say si company nga, on or before, nagkaroon ng breach doon sa loan agreement. Okay, on or before the financial statement date. Then, si other party, okay, binigyan niya ng grace period si company at least 12 months para after the balance sheet date, para ma-correct yung mga mali niyang nagawa. Okay? So, to rectify yung dun sa breach of loan agreement covenant. So, ngayon, kapag binigyan siya ng grace period after the reporting period of at least 12 months, okay, may option si company mag-extend eh. Okay? Since the company has the option to extend its payment, okay, hindi na siya demandable. So, meaning, pwede na siya natin i-present as non-current liability. If this particular instances do not happen or do not is not stated, we would stick to the general rule that if there is breach of loan agreement, it is demand payable. Okay? So, kailangan siya present as current liability. Okay? So, sa ating financial statement din ng balance sheet, meron din tayong presentation of deferred taxes. So, itong deferred tax liabilities, guys, it pertains to the income taxes, okay? Or mga taxes na ipe-present natin sa ating balance sheet. So, ang deferred tax liabilities generally based on PS1 are presented as non-current items, okay? Irrespective of their expected dates of reversal. So, itong deferred taxes, ma-encounter nyo yan din sa higher accounting, but when it comes to PS1, states that it should be presented as non-current items. Okay, so, for us to better understand ano ba yung mga nakalagay sa ating balance sheet or statement of financial position, ayan yan nasa screen. Okay? So, meron tayong PPE, property, plant, and equipment, investment property, intangible assets, financial assets, under letter E, F, and G, letter E, H, and I, okay, investment accounts accounted for using the equity method, okay, biological assets, inventories, trade and other receivables, cash and cash equivalents, then yung mga assets natin under PFRS 5 or minsan ang tawag natin dyan ay non-current assets held for sale. So, meron sa other side naman natin, meron tayong liabilities and capital. Okay? So, meron tayong trades and other payables, provisions under PS37, financial liabilities excluding yung letter K and L. Okay? Deferred tax liabilities, yung kanina nabanggit natin, under PS12 yon. Then, liabilities included in disposal group classified as held for sale in accordance with PFRS 5. At letter Q and R naman pertains to the capital under corporation. Okay, so or other big company. So we could have non-controlling interest presented within equity and issued capital and reserves attributable to owners of the parent. Okay, so Q and R pertains to the capital. Okay, So, these are the minimum line items in the SFP as stated by PAS1. So, based on PAS1, ito dapat yung mga kino-contain, okay, ng iyong balance sheet. Okay, but require ba lahat yan ma-present? Hindi naman, but the minimum line items lang siya. Okay? So, ngayon, let's talk about the order of presentation or format of based on PS1 ng ating financial statement na or balance sheet. So, as I've said kanina, 'di ba sinabi ng PS1, we should present it as classified one or unclassified. So, when it comes to order or format, the PS1 does not prescribe the order or format which an entity presents item. So, it would be depending sa company if they would present it as classified or unclassified. Okay? So, depending na lang sa necessity, okay, of the instances. Okay? So, that's for our statement of financial position.